The coffee shop regular, the soft chime of the bell above the door had become as familiar as breathing to Sarah. Every evening at exactly 7:30, the same quiet man would slip inside, brew and books. Her cozy coffee shop nestled between an old bookstore and the flower market on Maple Street. She would watch him from behind the polished espresso machine, steam rising like gentle clouds around her face. He always chose the corner table by the window, the one with the slightly wobbly leg that most customers avoided. His order never changed. A simple black coffee, no sugar, no cream, nothing fancy, despite his perfectly pressed shirts and expensive-looking watch that caught the warm lamplight. Sarah had named him Coffee Guy in her mind, though she'd never asked his real name. There was something peaceful about their unspoken routine. He would nod politely when he entered, offer a quiet thank you when she brought his drink, and sit in comfortable silence while she went about closing the shop around him. The autumn evenings grew longer, and Sarah found herself looking forward to his visits more than she cared to admit. Her coffee shop had been struggling lately. The big chain store down the street drew most of the morning crowd, and her evening customers were few and far between. Some nights, Coffee Guy was her only visitor after 6 o'clock. "You don't have to stay so late," she would tell him gently as she wiped down tables and stacked chairs. "I can make your coffee to go." He would shake his head with a small smile. "I like it here," he would say simply. "It's quiet." Sarah understood quiet. After her divorce 2 years ago, she had bought this little shop with her settlement money, hoping to create something warm and welcoming, a place where people could escape the noise of the world outside. Most days, she succeeded, but lately, the bills were piling up, and quiet didn't pay the rent. One particularly slow Thursday evening, Coffee Guy arrived as usual, but something was different. His shoulders seemed heavier, his usual neat appearance slightly rumpled. He ordered his black coffee but barely touched it, staring instead at his phone with a troubled expression. Sarah found herself hovering near his table, refilling his cup though it was still nearly full. "Rough day?" she asked softly, surprising herself with the question. He looked up, and for the first time she noticed how tired his eyes were. "You could say that," he replied. "Work troubles and other things." Sarah nodded, understanding the weight of unspoken burdens. "Sometimes this place helps," she said, gesturing to the warm book-lined walls. "At least, I hope it does." "It does," he said, his voice genuine. "More than you know." The next evening, Coffee Guy didn't come. Sarah found herself glancing at the door every few minutes. The familiar chime, eerily silent. By 8 o'clock she felt foolishly disappointed. She didn't even know his name, yet his absence left the shop feeling emptier than usual. Friday passed the same way. Then Saturday. On Sunday, Sarah was arranging a display of local magazines when she froze. There, on the cover of Business Weekly, was a photograph that made her heart skip. The same kind eyes, the same gentle smile she'd grown accustomed to seeing across her coffee shop. But the headline made her hands tremble. "Marcus Chen, Tech CEO's Secret to Work-Life Balance After Custody, Battle Victory." She read the article with growing amazement. Marcus Chen, founder of a successful tech company, had just won full custody of his 8-year-old daughter after a difficult divorce. The article mentioned his habit of finding quiet places to unwind after stressful days, away from the corporate world that consumed most of his time. Coffee Guy was Marcus Chen. Sarah felt a mix of emotions wash over her. Surprise, certainly, but also a strange sense of loss. Had their simple, honest interactions been built on her ignorance of who he really was? Would things change now that she knew? Monday evening came, and with it, the familiar chime at 7:30. Marcus entered as quietly as always, but Sarah could see the uncertainty in his posture. He'd probably seen her holding the magazine yesterday before she'd quickly set it aside. "The usual?" Sarah asked, her voice steady despite her racing heart. He nodded, then cleared his throat. "Sarah," he said, and she realized it was the first time he'd used her name, though it was printed on her apron. "I saw you reading the article yesterday." She poured his coffee with careful precision. "I did. Does it change things?" he asked quietly. Sarah considered the question as she carried his cup to the corner table. She thought about the man who had sat here every evening for months, never asking for special treatment, never demanding attention. The man who had quietly appreciated her small sanctuary when he could have gone anywhere in the city. "Should it?" she asked in return, setting down his coffee. Marcus smiled then, the first truly relaxed smile she'd seen from him. "I was hoping you'd say that." "Your daughter," Sarah said, settling into the chair across from him for the first time. "The article mentioned her," Emma, Marcus said, his whole face brightening. "She's 8. Loves stories and hot chocolate with way too many marshmallows. Sounds like someone I'd like to meet," Sarah said warmly. "She'd love this place," Marcus said, looking around at the cozy shelves and soft lighting. "All the books, the stories everywhere. I've been looking for somewhere we could spend time together that feels normal, real." Sarah felt something shift in her chest, a warmth that had nothing to do with the espresso machine behind her, while she said, standing and smoothing her apron, "I happen to make excellent hot chocolate." and I might have a few extra marshmallows lying around. Marcus's smile widened. I think I'd like that very much. As Sarah returned to her evening routine, she caught Marcus watching her with something new in his expression. Not the quiet desperation of a man seeking solitude, but the gentle hope of someone who had found something unexpected. Marcus, she said as he prepared to leave. Tomorrow, why don't you bring Emma? I close at 6 on Tuesdays, but I could stay open a little longer. Make it a proper hot chocolate evening. I'd like that, he said, his voice soft with gratitude. Sarah, yes, thank you, for the quiet, for not treating me differently, for ... this place. As the door chimed behind him, Sarah stood in her small coffee shop surrounded by books and the lingering warmth of possibility. Sometimes, she thought, the most beautiful connections happened in the simplest moments. Over black coffee in shared silence, between a lonely CEO and a shopkeeper who understood that everyone, no matter who they were in the world outside, needed somewhere to belong. Tomorrow would bring hot chocolate and marshmallows, a little girl's laughter, and the beginning of something neither she nor Marcus had been looking for, but both desperately needed. The evening settled around brew and books, like a gentle embrace, full of promise and the quiet magic that happens when two solitary hearts discover they don't have to be alone.